Well, that was not a bad way to round off 2022. Asim, a fine performance, 4 goals, and smiles on our two faces. And I'm guessing almost everyone tuned in to watch this, whether it be live or afterwards, have a big grin on their face because, oh, it was magic.
Yeah, it was an absolute masterclass, a baldy masterclass. Um, but no, it was brilliant. You couldn't ask for much more from tonight. And like you say, I think everyone watching that was just in awe of some of our football. It was just a perfect night all around. Brilliant performance and brilliant result.
Is it bad that I was looking at Amazon at half time for like a bald, what do you call it, a bald cap to wear on the channel for a laugh? Sadly, Amazon don't deliver in the space of an hour, but the lengths that Celtic make you go to, because that was just brilliant. I mean, where do you even start with a game like that and a performance like that? Because there's just so many plus points in terms of individual performances, so many brilliant moments in that match, and generally as a team as well. Such a good kind of collective performance. Where do we even try and start?
Yeah, I genuinely think that's probably up there with one of our best performances. I know we had obviously Dundee United away and stuff, but that was a tough fixture tonight as well. And you seen even in the first 10 minutes, you knew we were in for a tough game. And I just thought the way we grew into it and we came in, and some of the football that we played was as good as it's been in quite a while as well. And you just feel like, the some of the, like you say, individual performances, some of the moves, the goals. It was, yeah, we a lot to unpack, but it was a perfect night all in all.
Because you go back to the start of the game, and dare I say it, we actually started a wee bit nervously, and Hibs had the ball in the back of the net, obviously given for offside, but had a chance just after that as well when the left winger Yuan, who I think was probably their best player in the night,
Yeah,
had a bit of a run at Hatate, and I wouldn't say I was nervous at that stage because I think you always have faith in this Celtic team to kind of find their control in the match. But it was a little bit of a ropey start in the game. Do you think? I mean, I thought generally Hatate was fine tonight. I thought he put in a good performance. But, looking ahead to the game on Monday, which I think we will come on to and chat about a lot in this video, I would have reservations just based
yeah,
on that first kind of 20-25 minutes about starting Hatate at Ibrox. I think he got done by Ewan for that chance I'm talking about when it kind of flashed across. I think Starfelt clears it. There was another weird phase he had where he just threw the ball to Hibs player, and again, I think that's at 0-0, and again it just goes past the post. So without calling Hatate out, because he is a midfielder after all, I
yeah.
think we probably did see enough and given that we're going to have 3 right backs hopefully available for Monday,
Yeah.
you would certainly expect it to be either Juranovic, Ralston, or Johnston at Ibrox.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think he grew into the game, as you said. I think the longer the game went on, and once we'd maybe even got our first goal, you seen him kind of. We were just got in the front foot. I think that credit to Hibs. I think for the first 10 minutes, they had a right good go, and they were coming at us, which we're not used to seeing from other teams. Usually they sit back. So I think it was a test, and I feel like Yuan did kind of get the better of him in the early stages. But after that, I thought, yeah, him and just the rest of us, we slowly took control of the game. In terms of right back, yeah, I think that we tried it tonight. I think against St Johnstone, he wasn't really tested defensively, so we
Yeah.
didn't need to see that. Whereas tonight, you've seen that he can be got at, and as you said, it's not his position. So I would expect to see one of the other three for Monday.
Who do you think it will be?
I thought Juranovic might have got game time tonight if when we were
Yeah.
3 and 4 up. But then again, he was playing in the third place playoff, or did he play in that game? Well, he was
No, he
playing
didn't.
football obviously not long ago, so I don't think there's any kind of rustiness issues there.
But I think you
I,
would have liked to get him game time though. I think he
yeah,
would have come on if Andrew's thinking of playing him. I could be wrong. I mean, he threw him in for his debut at Ibrox out of nowhere.
that's
I mean, do we
I
rule
was saying
Johnston
that.
out of it?
Well,
Is there any
I,
chance of Johnson making his debut?
I was saying that to my dad. Ange he's not one for, like, if he feels someone's ready, he'll put them in. Juranovic's first game was at Ibrox. So that means that, yeah, Johnson is a shout. It depends again in Ralston. We don't know. He's missed the last two, so again, we don't know how fit he's going to be to come in for that game. I think it's between the three. I don't think Hatate will play there. And I think for me, I would still go with Juranovic. I think yeah, he's done it in these games before. You know, I thought he's played well at Ibrox before. He's had some of his best games against Rangers. He's experienced. He knows the fixture. So I think for me, I would go with Juranovic. But yes, slightly surprised he didn't get any game time.
Key moments in terms of the game today, I guess getting that first goal was a huge moment. It's Maida who does brilliantly on the left hand side. Even kind of before he was really coming on to a game, he had that bit of brilliance. It's just so direct. It's something that maybe it's just because generally when he plays domestically, he doesn't have that space to run into. But when he does have space, like he did tonight, he's such an effective player because he does the same thing every time, well, virtually every time. He just takes a big touch down the wing and with his left foot cuts it across. But defenders don't seem to know what he's going to do, or even if they do, his pace is such that they can't stop him. It's a great ball across, and then you kind of had a feeling the minute it's looping up in the air that Moy was going to score that.
Yeah, with Maeda, I think tonight he just looked like he's done that before. Like you say, that's his kind of trademark move. But there's something different about him tonight. He played with
Yeah.
a right confidence. It's almost like, as soon as he got it, he knew he was beaten. I think it was Cadden down that side, and virtually every time it was as soon as he got that ball, it was he didn't stop. Sometimes he stops and then goes. It was almost like in one movement he was taking it and just taking the guy on, and they struggled with it all night. It's probably one of his best performances in an attacking sense for us, and even his goal. Um, like I just didn't see that. Didn't see that coming. We've seen so many of Naida's goals; they're always usually of the kind of scrappy nature. But I saw just to touch on that first goal. Delighted for Moy to get his first, and he took it well. It was a good strike, and I think he and Moy, between him and Maida, it was hard to pick. Because I thought they were both brilliant and both instrumental in getting us that goal, which I thought we needed because it was a tough game up until then, and it was that goal which then led to the rest of the performance being pretty much flawless.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough game up until that point. I just never felt really in doubt with this
Right.
team. You just always feel games like tonight, I think, really suit this team because, Hibs come and have a go, and they did, fair enough. They created some chances. They had that big Nisbet header, they had the disallowed goal, etc. But I always, in games like that, when the opposition are coming and playing against us, I always just back Celtic to create so many chances, and we're so often just lethal when it comes to it. And that Moy finish was just the perfect example. And Maida does great for it as well. Then we have the Maida missed chance at the back post that is a sitter. I don't know how he misses it, and then barely 30 seconds later he just cuts in and scores one of our goals of the season. It's one of those, the minute it left his foot, you knew it was in. And it's almost as if you were just encouraging him. You were just saying, go on. Because I think he's the kind of player, he's such a selfless player. I think if he'd have had a real option for a pass there, he would do the simple thing. He very rarely does something that's kind of greedy. He very rarely celebrates his own goals. He looks happier when his fellow teammates score sometimes. And it was almost as if the whole support and the players were just going, go on, you've earned it. You set up the first goal, have a goal, make amends for that miss. And you knew it was in from the minute it left his foot.
Yeah, it was such like I mentioned, such an un-Maida-like goal, but you almost think it was
Yeah.
because of the miss that spurred him on to just go like, screw it, I'm going to go for this, because he very rarely shoots from outside the box or goes in a run and then shoots it off himself. So I'd like to see more of that from him, that kind of ruthless streak, because he's obviously got it in him. We don't see it often because he is so selfless. But that was brilliant technique. It was and it seemed like he was just trying to make amends for for the earlier miss, but. He was instrumental in everything good we did. But no, I admire your confidence because I'll be honest, I kind of earmarked this fixture as the one I was kind of most dreading since the return. Out of the four games, they're all tough fixtures, and Aberdeen away, Livingston at home, one that we dropped points in last season, and same with this one. But this was the one just before the Derby game that I did not
Yeah.
want to slip up. And given that first 5-10 minutes, yeah, it wasn't like you felt we could weather that storm, but you just knew this is going to be a tough game. And but the way we then went about our business, like you say, that just gives you more and more confidence with this team, because you've seen the first two games after the return, we were a bit scrappy and we had to kind of grind them out. But you feel like now we're playing again with these last two. It feels like we're seeing what we happened after the break last season, where we're just kind of motoring, and we still got the likes of Jota to contribute more as well and things like that. So it was as soon as that first goal went in, I felt from then onwards we were brilliant.
Just a couple of wee things on that second goal that I noticed. The first one is Maida obviously slips just before he goes on his run, and I think his slip actually makes the Hibs defender slip as well. Almost akin to that Larson goal at Blackburn all of those years ago
Yeah,
when I think Hartson slips and then Blackburn defender slips. And the second thing was Greg Taylor makes a brilliant run, darts down the wing and opens up the inside field for Maida to run into and to curl that into the net, which I think is something this Celtic team does so well. We make so many good runs off the ball that open the play up for
yeah.
other players, and you don't always notice it, but I really noticed it for that Maida goal. What about Aaron Moy though? Or sorry, Aaron Moy, Aaron. Best tune in a while. It's so simple, two words, but it's a
So
cracker.
Joyce, yeah. No, that again, I would say that's probably his. Well, he's had a good few performances lately for us, but it just seems on the back of the before the break and then the World Cup, and then tonight he was imperious. I thought he was brilliant. Between, like I say, hard to pick between him and Maida, but glad for him to get his first goal because he's had a couple of chances. I think the Tynecastle one really springs to mind, but yeah, the Tynecastles. I think it was in the second half, but
We'd just gone behind. I think it was 2-1, and
yeah.
he somehow missed that.
But took his chance really well tonight and well deserved. And yeah, that kind of set the tone, wasn't it? It was he's put himself really in the picture now to start on Monday. I know we'll probably touch on that later in terms of what we expect to see from that. But for me, that kind of performance and on the back of Saturday as well, he's made himself almost undroppable because he's brilliant.
It felt like a real kind of not coming of age, but a kind of breakthrough performance
Yeah,
for Celtic the day, I think, because he's put in really good displays so far, and I like to think I've been a bit of an Aaron Moy backer from the start, because there was a lot of kind of chat basically since his name was first mentioned over whether he was just signed because he was Australian and all of that nonsense, and still I think there's there's a bit of doubt, or certainly before tonight amongst the supporters, a bit of doubt he's too slow, etc. I think tonight was a real performance in a quick game as well, a real end-to-end game that he kind of slowed down at times, and I think that could be crucial at
I think he
Ibrox.
works really well with McGregor as well. I think they're working really well together because it's allowed a bit more freedom in Moy's game, which, like you said, when we first signed him, he's always playing that deeper role. But I think he's been brilliant just playing a wee bit further forward, and he's got good mobility as much as, like you say, he might come
Yeah.
across as. But that we've been told this, that's just his style, but it's not because of like a lack of mobility. He covers a lot of ground, and yeah, I think the way that midfield's working with him and McGregor, I think, yeah, it's a real strong option to have now.
I think he allows McGregor a bit more freedom as well in a funny way. McGregor's been doing a lot of running up the left wing. You know that kind of 1-2 thing McGregor does where he kind of knocks
Yeah,
the ball into Moy and then he suddenly realises I'm not being tracked here. I'm going to sprint down the wing and get to the byline. And I don't think he does that as much with like maybe O'Reilly in that position or
yeah,
someone else. It's not a slight in O'Reilly. I just think it's McGregor and Moy have a really kind of good understanding. I think
yeah,
they're two really intelligent players, and I thought O'Reilly was fine again tonight, but I think we've got so many players playing well at the moment, especially in that midfield area, that I would have no reservations about throwing Moy in on Monday. I don't even feel as if it's a case of throwing Moy in. It's not like a Zheng Ji situation at Ibrox. It's genuinely that I think he could win that game for us on Monday if he plays. I think he's that important to us right now, and I hope the midfield is Hatate, Moy, and McGregor.
yeah. I think up until today, though, most people would have O'Reilly in that team, and I
Yeah.
don't think he's not having his best spell. O'Reilly, I think his passing's been a bit slack. I felt today at times, but no major concerns. It might just be a slight blip or. But for me, that midfield battle will be so key. And yeah, I think Moy, McGregor, and Hatate on current form would be my midfield three for that game. I just think it'll be such an important area of the pitch, and having him and Moy and McGregor just controlling play, I think will really put us in a strong position. So yeah, for like you said, it's not a case of throwing him in, which maybe a couple of weeks ago people would, the idea of Moy playing instead of O'Reilly, people would be like no chance. But
Yeah.
I think now that's what probably a lot of people would prefer.
He just strikes me, O'Reilly's a guy who just needs that first goal of the season. He should have had it tonight. He really has to score that. And
He's had a
I
few
just think
chances like that, hasn't he? Like that
he had
similar kind of.
one at the weekend that he put by the post against St John's, and I just think I don't think he's nearly as bad as a lot of people are saying. I think he was second half today. I thought he actually was quite good, but he just needs that goal, that first goal of the season. A bit like Moy tonight in a way. There was another player recently who got his first goal of the season, and it seemed to galvanise them. But I just think if O'Reilly can get that, it'll really kick his game on. But it's not as if, obviously people, fans will use the word like dropped. It's not a case of O'Reilly being dropped on Monday if he doesn't start. It's just a case of Moy playing so well at the moment that he's earned his start, and O'Reilly will play a part in the game, and O'Reilly's absolutely fine as far as I'm concerned. I would just at the moment, I just think Moy was that good tonight, and Maida as well, that you can't afford not to start him against Rangers.
The other thing with O'Reilly is, I remember for a couple of months he's played a much deeper role. So he's had to adjust his game, and now he's obviously readjusting back to playing a bit further forward. And you can see he's trying things. He's trying that through ball. He's trying, and just some of the passes aren't coming off for him, and he's missing a couple of chances. So I've got no major concerns. He's another great player to have, another great option. But if you're just talking current form and what the others can bring you at this moment, especially for that game, I agree. Moy and Maida have put themselves first name on the team sheet. I think they were that good tonight, and they're since the return they've been brilliant. So yeah, I think that's a no-brainer. In terms of the other, when the team came out at the start, I'll be honest. Normally I don't like having Maida and Abada in the same team. Like, I think they're quite similar. I normally like having one of the more creative options with one of them. Either obviously Haksabanovic was out today, so again, just shows you like Ange, he's got another big call right. Abada had one of his quieter games, but the amount of times he was on that right side, he was an effective outlet because Yuan wasn't really tracking back, so we had so much space down that side, and all our moves when we were kind of growing back into the game came from that side, so it just allowed us a foothold back into the game. So it's great to have so many options going into Monday. We've still got potentially a couple of players that will be available for that as well.
Yeah, I can only assume that the Jota's, not fully fit. I know there was murmurings of him being unwell, and I know he came on for the last 5 minutes and looked fine, but I could only assume tonight that if Jota had been fully fit, he would probably have started that, and we'll have to wait and see. It is Monday, the game, so we do have the best part of a week. It's not as if it's 2 or 3 days away, but some big decisions, but positive decisions for Ange to make. Kyogo gets his goal in the second half as well. Sorry, before that we got a penalty. Just our second penalty of the season, and pretty hard to believe that. And even more amazingly, we scored it. Moy tucks it away, which was really well taken. We then get the fourth goal. Kyogo
took less than
scores.
10 minutes as well to award it, so that was progress. It was a Stonewaller that won it. It was one of those they couldn't find a way not to give it.
The pass for Greg Taylor. We need to talk about that for Maida.
That's 3 games out of the 4 since we've had that same pass, which is just I think it was I can't remember who played it in the Aberdeen game, but if it led to Kyogo's chance
Ralston.
Where he pushed Ralston, that was, and then he did it again against Livingston, and then again today. It's such a beautiful pass, isn't it? It's like it cuts out 3 or 4 players, and Taylor's getting really good at that, like that weight of pass that he delivers. So yeah, beautiful. And then a penalty. I wasn't sure who was going to take it because we don't really have a strong penalty taker at the moment. They've all missed. Janovic missed, obviously, in Madrid.
McGregor missed last season.
McGregor's missed in Gigi. So yeah, it's a good penalty as well, and it was a crucial one because I thought at 2-0 the game's still on. Hibs have done that before against us, so it was a crucial one just to cement the dominance. And yeah, from then on in, it was just coasting and further kind of beautiful football to watch.
Yeah, I mean, that sums it up. Beautiful football. It got to that stage where every time we went forward, we looked like scoring. We get the 4th goal. I don't really know what the Hibs defence is doing. They just seem to be all over the place, and we obviously took advantage of it. Hatate feeds it through. Kyogo just never looked like missing. Kind of similar to his goal, if you remember it, Ferencvaros last season, when he kind of had the ball and cut back onto his left, and then struck it into the back of the net. And I was delighted for him because, again, he wasn't massively involved in the game, but he's just such a goal scorer at the moment. A fair bit of chat about Gigi, by the way, when he came on, and personally, I've covered this a wee bit already. I mean, there's a few when Gigi looks unhappy. Another one, GG needs an arm around him, all of that kind of stuff. I don't know if he looked unhappy. I felt he just looked incredibly hungry to score. I mean, he looked raging at the refereeing decisions going against him, and I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I didn't feel as if he was like. I feel like if he looked unhappy, he'd be coming on and he'd be lazing about and not doing much. The first thing he did when he came on was basically scythe a player down to try and win the ball back, and I don't even know if it was a free kick. I thought he got a fair amount of the ball. He didn't really have any other massive chances, but I thought he looked really good in terms of his work rate. And I just wonder if his fans were reading a little bit too much into paper talk at the moment about Giakoumakis.
I think it's on the back of, see if there wasn't any of that stuff chat about, like you say, the paper talk and then his kind of cryptic Instagram posts and stuff like that. I think that's all just fueled it a wee bit, and then you add to the fact he's not really got, like, we've rotated quite a few positions in these 4 games, and he's probably had the least game time in terms of, like, he's came on sometimes with 10 minutes to go, and usually he'd come on at 60. So I don't know if there is something in it. You know, there obviously, I think there does appear to be something in the fact that, you know, whether he's unhappy or whatever it may be, which is a shame because he's been such a good, effective player for us, especially in the fixture coming up. He's been a pivotal player in that, and you want him to go into that. Maybe this will be good. You know, he'll go in, and again, we'll expect Kyogo obviously to start, but a hungry Giakoumakis coming on in that kind of game as well. Yeah, I don't think he's looked like when he comes on. I don't think he's not given his all. I just think he's desperate
to be frustrated. You want? I mean, folk are saying he looks frustrated. I want him to be frustrated. I don't want him to be happy that he's getting 10 minutes here or there. I want him to come on, and I know he doesn't score, but as I say, I thought he was fine. He was really getting stuck in. He was really kind of frustrated when the right crosses weren't coming in, when defenders were blocking things, and I don't think that's too different from what we saw at the start of the season, because remember at the start of the season he wasn't starting games and he was coming on and really looking a handful. So I think he's another one like O'Reilly that even if they don't start on Monday, will have a huge part to play in the game. Like we've written O'Reilly off a start here somehow. I mean, there's probably still a fair chance that Ange starts him, because someone was pointing out as well earlier that against Rangers he's had a lot of assists. So that may be worth watching, but I'm not worried about GG. We need to talk about Starfelt, Asim, Royal L bringing that up. Quite a few people saying that he went under the radar tonight.
I think that's just his game. He tends to, like, CCV gets all the plaudits, and rightly so. He's been brilliant, and you know he was again solid. But I think Starfelt just offers that calmness. His winning of the ball is something that I think is underrated. Oh, people do talk about it, to be honest, but the amount of times he nicks in and reads it so well and wins the ball high up, I think they just complement each other so well. He's, like you say, you don't even talk about him. That's how well they're doing. We're coasting through games without any major issues. And yeah, I think him and Carter Vickers, we've said all along, is Ange's preferred partnership, and you can see why. When they two are playing, we just look a lot more solid. I think it just gives the whole midfield a bit more assurance, the goalkeeper, everything. So yeah, I'm glad that they're both back fit and playing together. And yeah, he's grown and grown on me. I think there was a lot of chat last season around this time when we had I think it was the cup final against Hibs, and you know there was certain media pundits who were slating him and things like that. So for me, he gets a hard time with things sometimes, but I think by and large, the Celtic supporter came to really appreciate him and see the strengths he brings.
Yeah, he's. I think it's our best centre back pairing, Carter Vickers and Starfelt, and I'm glad we've kind of got that hopefully sorted out going into Ibrox, because you know I still think that's going to be a tough start to the game in that atmosphere. They're going to come out really fast like they did last time at Ibrox, and like we did in the home game as well at the start of this season. And I think that's why, you know, you look at certain positions and you don't necessarily want Hatate right back for those first few minutes, because we even see what happened in the last game at Ibrox. You need to switch on from the start. Greg Taylor, you'd want him at left back. He kind of went off in the second half, so hopefully it kind of maybe looked muscular. Hopefully it's nothing too bad. Having said that, Bernabé was excellent when he came on. Obviously, coming on after 60 odd minutes at Easter Road when you're 3 or 4-0 up is very different to starting a derby. But I think he's really coming on to a game as well. Plexiplox getting in touch, the legend, saying just Celtic doing Celtic things. We can maybe just showed up and said that, Asim, and that would have done us for the reaction. Just while we're on funny things, well, maybe funny, if I can now find it. Someone's pointed this out. Did you see this? That you can't spell Hamish without Asim. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail. Is that, I seen that in one of the previous videos. I don't know if it's the same guy that's pointed it out, but
Might be.
there you go. Did not know that.
It's almost as if we scripted this.
But no, one other thing I wanted to mention about the fourth goal. I don't know if you mentioned it there. Callum McGregor's work before that. I think there was like 2 or 3 challenges he kept putting in. I've not seen it back, but I just remember like it was like a 50-50, and then I think he did a bit of skill, and then he won it back, and I think he just again led by example today. I think we're such a better team when he's in there. I know we did totally fine domestically without him, but you can just see he dictates everything for us. He's the heartbeat of the team, and I'm just so glad he's back, because you can see already like the performances improve when he's there. And I thought he was brilliant for that goal. I don't know, I'll need to watch it back, but I just remember like I think he put in a couple of sliding challenges to win it back, set the ball to Kyogo, great pass. I think that fourth goal was brilliant. One of our best goals of the season, actually.
I just think he's great running into space. McGregor, seeing he's got a bit of space to work with, and he can kind of start, passing those out wide and running onto it and working 1-2s. He just went under the radar again tonight. He very rarely gets the credit he deserves in terms of kind of match by match. You rarely talk about him as being man of the match, and I'm not saying he was man of the match tonight. Obviously, I think Moy and Maida would probably fight out for that, but McGregor was just excellent. A really, really good performance yet again tonight. On that subject, who would you give man of the match to if I absolutely forced you to come up with one?
I'll give it to Maida.
Yeah,
I think he set the tone. Like I say, Moy was imperious, but I think Maida just set the tone and took his performance to another level tonight in terms of output. We always know that he puts in the graft, and we always know that he's selfless, as you mentioned, but just that added quality tonight, where he was consistently beating his man with purpose. It wasn't like just through pace. It was almost like he knew exactly what he was doing. A couple of times final ball, yeah, maybe a bit could have done better, but and then the goal to top it off. So yeah, for me, Dyson gets it.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. I think he probably was involved in more goals than Moy, and just generally his level of performance. But Moy was excellent. I honestly think both deserve to start going into Monday. But I guess that's something we can chat about tomorrow, because you're going to be back on the channel with Scott McDonald to chat about tonight. And also look ahead to what's to come at the start of next year. If you've got any thoughts, any thoughts in the game tonight, any questions for Scott, just let us know in the kind of after stream comments, and I'll fire through a few of them with Scott tomorrow. Be good to hear what he's saying about it. We are at the end of 2022 in terms of matches. Is there a highlight for you from this year? A moment, it can be a goal if you want, or a feeling that you'll remember forever.
I thought the February game against Rangers when Abada scored that third, but I thought that was even eclipsed with Jota's one in the same fixture. Just that feeling. Was it the third goal for Jota as well?
Jota's was the
second goal, but the quality of the goal and just the sheer dominance. Obviously, we've had so many like lifting league and things like that, but if you're talking about just a single moment and a goal between those two, Abada's third and Jota's second, just did the sheer joy and scenes in the stadium at those two moments. It's been a great year. Someone mentioned it earlier, that one defeat, I think, in the whole of this calendar year. And I was looking, I don't know what it is after tonight's fixture, but at the 18 fixture mark, as in before tonight, since the turn of the century, this is like our third best start to the season. And the other, I think third or fourth, the other two were under Martin O'Neill in the very early days of Martin O'Neill, and won the Invincible season. So it just shows you how good and how consistent we've been. And that's testament, because other than that St Mirren defeat, which at the time we all hoped was just a blip, we've proved it. 19 games gone, 18 victories. It's brilliant, and I think we can still get better.
There's someone saying Ralston winner versus Ross County. That was a great 2022 moment, was it? Not 2021. Switch on, man.
Was it? It was.
What are they like, this lot? Come on, get your calendars consulted.
What's yours then?
Yeah, there's been some good ones. I would say the moment that really kind of what did bring me to tears was the post-match Hearts, the 4-1 win that effectively won us the league. I know we hadn't officially won the league, but the players walking round the pitch that night with Celtic Park and Daft Punk song playing one more time, and Jota singing along and Ange giving it all this, and Joe Hart loving it, and McGregor and all of that, and just seeing the joy in everyone's faces after such a long time. And as I say, I know we officially won the league a few days later at Tannadice. I guess for different people it'll be different moments that kind of got them. For other people it might be trophy day, lifting the trophy. It was the victory over Hearts, the day when we all kind of finally realised we had won the league, and seeing Celtic Park that day and coming away, and as I say, having tears in my eyes.
I think Stevie was sitting behind me that day and was in tears as well.
That's why it's not your number one then. It would have been your number one, but it's outside your top 100 just because Stevie was within a mile of you. It's been an amazing year, and hopefully more to come in 2023. Listen, we have an ideal chance 2 days into 2023 to move 12 points clear at the top of the Premiership, and I'm not going to say virtually win the league or anything like that, but certainly take another big step towards 2 in a row. So can't wait for it, mate. I really can't wait, and we'll get into it tomorrow and onwards. But we're in good kind of condition, aren't we, going into this game? You could hardly be in much better condition.
Yeah, I remember the first video back after the World Cup or before the Aberdeen game, and we both said just get these 4 games before it. They've won 4, we've won 4, but we just wanted to not give any encouragement, and we've done well. Like we've grinded out 2 wins, and then perfect form going into it because we've won 2 with playing brilliant football. You couldn't ask for more going into it, and I think all the pressure's on them. We're in such a good position, and I think that's when we thrive most, and where they struggle when they're under pressure. So you can go into that game knowing that they have to win, and I think for me, I think it's obviously we'll discuss it more in the preview and stuff, but if we can come away from there with 3 points, for me, I would say it's done.
Okay. I don't think you'd find many people disagreeing yet with you. I maybe feel that way as well. I'm just would never, given my history, like to utter that publicly, but I can think it. I think any journalist is going to have the temerity to ask Ange whether he'd accept a draw at Ibrox. I'm buzzing for who that's going to be. What poor soul is going to ask him something along those lines in his pre-match press conference. Listen, we'll leave it there because we've been on over half an hour now, Asim. It's been that kind of night, but I appreciate it from you, and we will catch up with you tomorrow alongside Scott McDonald. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we shall speak to you soon.